All right, welcome back. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we have another battery, but this has features that you haven't seen in any of my videos before. I'm gonna show you those features and we're gonna put this through the paces on Tackle That. All right, let's open it up. Cool. First thing we have are some terminal screws, and we also have the instruction manuals, and I like this little quick start guide. That way you know all your specifications just on one card instead of having to flip through that manual. But looks like it's got a bunch of different languages in there and a lot more of the details and instructions, and also how to use the app too. Nicely well packed. Oh, here she is. Look at this. Oh, definitely not light, but how pretty is that battery? All right, so this is your DCHOUSE 12.8, so it's your 12 volt lithium iron phosphate battery, and this is a 100 amp hour battery. So this packs a lot of power in this small little case. So of course here on the top, we got our terminal screws, but on the side is my favorite part. We have a power button. We got USB-C inputs and outputs, as well as just regular USB, and then also a barrel connection too. So this is a way of having a lot of power out your terminals to your inverters and your chargers, but also great for the lightweight stuff, maybe lights and electronics, charging your cell phone and all that kind of stuff. It also has a power meter, so it'll tell you the percent of charge, and right now it's saying it's about 25%. Usually they ship them 25 to 50% because that's the stable voltage to ship these. And then on the back you have a data sheet as well, so that will give you all your specifications in case you lose your manual or your cards. But overall, a great battery. Nice strong handle, great to bring on the boat, to pop in your car. If you bring it camping, you have everything you need as far as 12 volt goes, but also the USB, which is your 5 volts setups as well. We've got our charger plugged in, green light, and we're gonna put an XT60 pigtail on there so that we can charge this up nicely, and we also can do our discharge test. Let's charge her up. All right, we got the red light letting us know that this is charging. This is a lithium iron phosphate charger as well, and I believe its voltage is 14.6 volts, so that's the correct voltage to charge these at. Now, if you need a charger, check out links in the description. Also links in the description for this awesome battery. We'll let that marinate for a few hours and we'll come back and check on it. This green light lets us know we are fully charged. And here we go, on to the discharge test. Let's go ahead and clear out these values from the last test, like that. Like that. All right, everything's zeroed out. Connect it up. Always double check our wiring, black to black, red to red, positive and negative, looks good. All right, we got 13.4 volts on here. We're gonna run 20 amps. So this is a 100 amp hour battery. We're gonna pull 20 amps out. So in an hour, we'll use 20 amp hours. So it'll take 5 hours for us to do a discharge on this battery. And that is the standard. That is a 0.2C test. So let's give it a shot. We'll turn it on. All right, fans spin up. And then we'll make sure, yep, we're ticking and talking. So the capacity is already reading 70 milliamps and counting. And as it drains the power as heat, we're going to get an accurate reading of the capacity of this battery. Now, we also will keep checking our wires and make sure everything's good, but 20 amps on, what is this, 12 gauge wire will be fine. This is silicone wire, can handle extra heat. Checking in, 72 amp hours removed so far from this battery. Everything just a little bit warm, which is completely normal. Everything's cooking. All right, guys, the results are in. 105 amp hours, 0.926. So 105.926 amp hours in this 100 amp hour battery. That is great. Your batteries always want to test higher than the capacity for the first initial charges and discharges, and then over time it'll go down a little bit, which is completely normal. But having a higher than rated result means these are high quality cells and they're all balanced, so that is awesome. All right, next thing to do, charge this back up, and then we're gonna do some discharge testing. We're gonna hook this up to an inverter. We're gonna hook this up to some loads. We're gonna test the functionality on the side, and we'll let you know what it does. All right, let's get this charged up. We've got the green light because we unplugged the other end. Whoops. All right, let's get that plugged in. That's better. Red light, we're charging, good stuff. Now let's talk about some of the features. The state of charge indicator should read very low because it's completely depleted. And that is the case. It's saying 0%, and it also has a LED light saying it's charging. So that's pretty cool. Yep, it goes off when you unplug the charger. And when your charger is on, it's gonna have that little LED light letting you know power is going into the battery. Now, we already talked about this being lithium iron phosphate. This is a great technology. Depending on your depth of discharge, you can get 15,000 cycles out of these batteries. That is a lot higher than your traditional lithium batteries that can do maybe 500. So awesome technology. It's also safer. It's definitely less prone to any fires or anything abnormal. A lot of people put this technology inside of their house for solar battery backup systems as well. Now, it also has the Bluetooth app. We're going to log into that in a second. One of the really positive things about this is it has temperature protection. So if you're in cold climates, it will make sure that you can't charge the battery under 32 degrees Fahrenheit so you don't damage the cells. And then discharging, you can actually go down lower, and that says to negative 7.6 degrees Fahrenheit. You still can use that battery. The BMS, it actually has a 100 amp continuous discharge, so that means you can pull 100 amps out of this and hook it up to your trolling motor or your inverter, and it can provide a lot of power. If you go over that, the BMS will disconnect and make sure that the pack stays safe. Of course, it's lightweight and portable. It's got a strap. It's only 24 pounds, which is typical for 100 amp hour batteries, making this very easy to move around or move from vehicle to vehicle, or making it portable to travel with you on the go. Now, it does have a multi-port charging feature, so you can charge it like I've got it here with the main lugs. That's going to allow you to charge it faster depending on your charge amperage, or you can actually charge it with USB-C. So if you were just going to use this as a big battery bank, you can charge and discharge this all through your USB ports. One of the great things about this battery is it's highly rated. It has 4.6 stars currently on Amazon. Again, links in the description. Check that out if you are in the market. The other thing is, this is very simple. There's nothing complicated about it. And with this LED readout, you don't technically need to connect it to an external display or use your phone to monitor it, it actually will have all the different statuses of the BMS on here. And if you were to have an error like high temperature or low temperature or a fault, it will let you know right on the indicator here on the front. Perfect, so let's let this charge up and we will be back for some further testing. We've got our heat gun. The other thing we're gonna need is a clamp meter. So we will see exactly how many amps are flowing through this. Let's go ahead and zero that out. We're set to DC. All right, double check all of our terminals. Everything looks solid. Let's plug in our heat gun. It's off right now. All right, let's do mode 1, which is just low heat. Oh, we overloaded the amps, so let's go over to 400 amps. So now we have 51 amps getting drawn out of the battery right now. So let's try high. High jumps us up to 109 amps, and this says 110 amps. So we're dead on there. We're pulling 110 amps out of this battery right now, and it is not disconnecting. So that's actually really impressive. Now just make sure nothing heats up too quickly. Make sure that you, whoop, that one's getting pretty hot. Okay, so yeah, we're pushing the limits here. Let's turn that off and check this connection here. Yeah, maybe it is a little loose. Let's tighten it up. All right, let's kick that back on and see what we can do. All right. So now it doesn't actually say the watts, but it says the amps, so we can do some calculation. I'll put it on the screen, how much we're actually drawing, but it'll be 111 amps times 12 volts, and that'll give you how many watts we're pulling out of here, which looks to be about maybe 12 to 1300 watts. So not even overloading the inverter yet. Have solid, tight connections if you're going to be pulling this much power. Everything else is very cool on this side. No problems at all. And she's still going. This inverter is nice. It's not complaining at all. Still pulling 106, 108, 105 amps out. Really nice. Let's do something fun and hook up a 4 or 5 amp drill. And that way we can kind of throttle the power consumption. And let's see what we can do here. All right, we're at 110 amps, 112, 120, 127. So at 127 amps, and that's with this drill full speed. 128 amps we just hit. Wow, that's great. Look at this battery. It is taking a licking and keeping on ticking. 126 amps, 125 amps, 126. This says 128 on this screen. And we're losing some voltage. We're draining this battery pretty fast. At this rate, we would drain this in less than an hour. Not too bad there. All right. So definitely, terminals are definitely warm, but that's pretty normal. All right, so let's stop that. Let's turn that off. Woo! Now we can talk because that gets a little loud. All right, so as far as the app is concerned, it's got a QR code inside of the instructions for Google Play. So we're gonna load that up, and it's called DCHOUSE. We're gonna install that. It is verified by Play protect, which is good. You don't have to bypass any of your security protocols. We're going to open that up. All right, we have to allow because it's going to use Bluetooth. All right, and then it has a plus button. And let me actually turn screen recording on here for you. And we're going to hit add device. And it's found the DCHOUSE Bluetooth. We're going to connect to that. And it says connected. All right, and it's also giving us like a first time guide on what is what. It's helpful. Okay, I got it. All right, so now we can see that it actually has the Bluetooth. All right, that's cool. So it's giving us a big battery meter. It's at 90%. The voltage is 13.3 volts, and we're currently drawing 0 amps. But let's go ahead and put it on mode 1 on the heat gun and see what it says here. And then we'll verify with our different meters if everything is correct. Yeah, there you go. So on the app, it's saying it's pulling 52.1 amps. And our clamp meter says 50.1, so 50.1 there. And then over here, it's saying 56, so it's pulling 56. So no matter what, these are gonna give you a good idea of how many amps you're drawing, even though there's a variation of a couple amps, that's fine. Depending on where you are in the circuit, you're gonna see different amp draws, but it's all relatively close, just over 50 amps. Let's kick it on high and see what happens. Okay, 107 amps coming out of the battery right now. Our clamp meter says 105 and the inverter says 110. So it looks like the inverter is overcalculating just a little bit, but we can get exact numbers with the app and with a clamp meter. Consistently pulling over 100 amps. It'd be cool if you have multiple batteries too, because you can line them all up in here and check each one and make sure they're all running properly. Now, one thing I actually want to see is the cell information. Let's see. Let's see if it has, there it is, cell voltages. All right, perfect. So you can see the cell voltages. That's important to make sure that your batteries, the actual cells, there'll be 4 lithium iron phosphate cells in here, and to make sure they're all balanced. If they get out of balance, you need to do some balancing and make sure they stay synchronized. That'll give you the most power and protect the cells and make sure they don't get damaged. All right, so that test is pretty good. Let's turn that off. Oh, the fan kicked on finally, so that actually took a little while. This thing is really nice and quiet too. The fan is, for pulling 100 amps, that's not a loud fan at all. So this inverter did really, really well. I love it. The last thing to do is check out these USB ports. We're gonna charge it up first, and I have a 45-watt charger here. So we'll plug that in and we'll connect it up just like that. And we'll wait a second here. It does take a few seconds for it to kind of figure it out. And hopefully and there we go. So it is charging. We got an amber light there. We're charging this battery. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's lit up. Another thing to note is this has to be powered on for your USB to work. I had it off and they would not charge when I first started doing this. So it's powered up over there, USB-C. We're charging this guy here. And let's try the USB-A. I like these connectors. It has multi-port, so you can charge just about anything. And USB-C. And we are charging. Cool. All right. So our USB ports work just as they should. So that's it for this video. This DC House battery performed very well. We didn't even get it to complain. I use DC House batteries, which is also eco-worthy. They're both the same company. And I use those on the home solar system. I have not had any issues with the 48 volt batteries. And just as I thought, I didn't have any issues with this 12 volt battery as well. So you'll see more videos, so make sure you subscribe and like, and we're gonna hook this up to things on the go. We're gonna bring it camping, and we'll bring it on the boat to power various items. But overall, a great battery, highly recommend it. Check out the links in the description, guys. As always, thanks for joining. We'll see you on the next one.